All right, what's going on, everybody? How are we doing this fine Friday? Let's see. Had to adjust my setup and my webcam fell over here this morning. Good morning, Andrea. How are you? Hope you had a nice, restful, and restorative night's sleep. Good morning, everyone that tunes in now, whether you're joining us from the future or here during the live stream. Welcome to the last Premarket Prep session of the week, where we go over any and all information necessary to keeping you consistently profitable here across these crazy markets, right? Dealing with stocks, stock options, and everything else. I'm your host here forever and always, Adam Holland, stock options expert market strategist. We're here to dive into what is going to be necessary to survive on this OPEX Friday, right? OPEX Friday is what we got going on. Let's see. Cameron, can we get it in focus? Cool. Yeah, I feel like, again, webcams just have a vanity filter. They don't like if you're looking at yourself on the stream. So mine stays trying to humble me by zooming in and zooming out. Let's see here. I'll give people a chance to join us, get everything set up. It's Friday, everybody, so go ahead and throw a 2 in the chat for that. Excited, got a busy weekend, but a busy, family-oriented weekend. So, very, very happy for that, excited for that. Let's see. Okay. All right. Ooh, we got a nice, fun headline here this morning. How's everybody doing this morning? Good. I see good morning. Yes. Awesome. Greetings. Yes. Dylan, Vanessa, Detrice, Michelle, Coco. Good morning, everybody. Happy to be here, right? And close this out here for this week. Without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and dive in. Let's see. Maybe I'll switch up what we have going on in the background, because I feel like we've had this guy for all of yesterday. Maybe we'll go with, I don't know. Maybe we'll go with the racing. Throw a little race out there. This will represent all of us zipping around this weekend, trying to get all of our errands done. So top news here is Google and the Gemini project. So Google is rounding up the old guard as it looks to respond to recent developments that could threaten its market dominance and $150 billion per year search business. The pressure centers around artificial intelligence and the need to put the technology at the center of its product strategy. The November release of ChatGPT by Microsoft-backed research company OpenAI was a big wake-up call. But since then, there have been many other offerings, and the disruptive force has even seen meta platforms pivot away from the metaverse. Race is on. Co-founders Larry Page and Sergey Brin have not spent much time at Google since they left their daily roles in 2019, but they have upped their visits to headquarters in Mountain View, California, to ensure that AI is front and center in the company's plans. In fact, Brin is now in the office 3 to 4 days a week to develop the next large artificial intelligence system called Gemini that hopes to challenge GPT-4. Reports suggest that he's even taken it upon himself to hire the most sought-after researchers in the field, building his own pool of intelligence as the competition intensifies. So this is big, right? We talked about how the AI war is on, and it is most definitely on in the heat of it, right? You can't get any hotter than this. At this point, they literally brought the co-founders of Google back into the office, right? So these are the OGs, right? This is like in the movies where they're like, we got to bring him back up, right? We need the originals. They went and got the originals, the guys that put they put the G in OG that stands for Google, right? These are heavy hitters. And, again, they kind of sit back and survey things, and they kind of give advice when it's necessary. But the fact they're in the office 3 to 4 days a week kind of represents the crazy time that we're in, and that it's such a revolutionary, iterative time in world history, that they're like, just like Google was, right? Google changed the game. They see this as just as important, right, for them to be back in the office and helping out and really leading the charge for Google in the AI wars. So to note, Brin is Alphabet's second largest individual shareholder after Page, with the stake valued at around $90 billion. They also control the majority of voting power at Alphabet and sit on the executive committee with current CEO Sundar Pichai, who declared a quote-unquote code red about emerging AI back in February. Since then, Google has released its own chatbot called Bard that's powered by Lambda, language model for dialogue applications. That's what it stands for. put AI reinvention at the center of its IO developer conference in May, and is even said to be testing an AI tool to write news stories and assist journalists. Assist journalists. I think that means literally do away with journalists. I mean, like, look at these language models. Like, already, there's something that all journalists should be using, right? If you're not using it, then at this point, you're really falling behind as a journalist. But like, I could easily see journalists getting replaced by AI over the course of the next 2 years, right? Not even a decade, right? Over the course of the next 2 years, because ChatGPT already writes better than a lot of analysts or a lot of journalists. So, you know, I don't know. We'll see. Probably the interview, right? The in-person interview is an art that is kind of sacred to journalism and very important in journalism. The way that people can impose a presence, I think, is different than if you have AI asking you for an interview. That's different than someone who pulls up on you in the cafe you go to every morning and starts talking to you casually, and then you find out that they're a journalist, right? AI can't do that. So there are still little bits and pieces where it's just like, okay, some old-fashioned journalism can't be replaced by machines, but a lot of this writing, right, scouring the internet for information and then putting it together in a way that's palatable and intriguing to humans, AI's definitely got that on lock. So Seeking Alpha commentary, quote, Google's opportunity for AI goes way beyond just integration into its search business. AI-supported applications will likely be used in Google's cloud platform, as well as in its suite of productivity tools, such as Google Docs, right? Seeking Alpha analyst to Asian investor. Quote, investors are also missing the AI-driven opportunities of the powerful YouTube platform, noted Nexus Research. Google also combined its two AI research groups, Brain and DeepMind, into one dubbed Google DeepMind, added Bradley Guichard, outlining two ways to generate yield from the growth stock. So, Google kind of had their AI headline drop yesterday. It did not stop the stock from dropping, right? Which really just hit an absolute like brick wall and just tanked yesterday. It's up pre-market, but everything is up pre-market for exactly the reason that I identified yesterday before close. So our SPY 0-day call lottos should be up very big right by open. Knock on wood, barring any crazy things. And that's what's fun about markets, right? Even at the end of the day, you can sneak in with a nice little play where you spend what, $25, $30, $40, and you can wake up and it's a few $100 the next day. You can't beat it, right? You can't beat it. The bang for your buck in the stock market is just unbeatable here if you know what you're doing, right? And it can pay. But yeah, Google, we'll see. Might run today, might not. I don't really have any deep opinions right now on them. Google paid us already. They came through, right? Came through in a big way. We don't really need anything else from it. Could run today based off of, kind of the speculation, but I don't know, man. I feel like they already have Bard. Like, can't Bard already write like news articles and headlines if you wanted it to? So it kind of seemed like a superfluous announcement, right? It's like, hey, if you're a swimmer and the swimmer comes out and is like, hey, I can also do the butterfly stroke. It's like, you're a swimmer, right? So I don't really see that as like that being something crazy. I feel like they kind of just they saw that their stock was tanking and they're like, wait, guys, we have AI that can write news stories. And everybody's like, okay, so can literally every other AI. So I don't understand, right? Let me see here. I just flipped back. I also there we go. Had the color drained out of me. Forgot to change the saturation on this webcam from the Zoom last night. Now let's see. Let's get back to what we got going on. And I changed into this like quick t-shirt for my workout shirt, but obviously this like extra large comfy t-shirt is just droopy. Reminds me of that commercial, like that Tide commercial where your shirt is too comfortable. Like that's me during this live, but it's Friday, so we can afford to be comfortable out here. Now, in terms of stocks rotation underway, major market averages ended mixed on Thursday as disappointing Q2 results from Tesla and Netflix dented the tech-heavy NASDAQ composite, which posted its worst session since March. Meanwhile, the Dow Jones Industrial celebrated its longest rally since 2017 with a ninth day of gains, buoyed by Johnson & Johnson's earnings beat. Quote, while this doesn't necessarily mean the market is about to tank, it does indicate that high growth segments could see significant weakness, benefiting higher value investments. BN Capital's Leo Nellison told Seeking Alpha. Market participants will see whether that forecast will continue to hold true next week when three big tech firms, Alphabet, Meta, and Microsoft, are slated to report results. So I am Very, very excited for that, right? Talk about headliners. That's going to be big. Now, in terms of economic news here, no more limits. And in relation to that, right? Sector rotation, all that good stuff. We are seeing like healthcare have its time in the sun, right? There's Johnson and Johnson, United Healthcare, a lot of different healthcare companies reported earnings, and they had kind of positive results, and they're moving big because of it. Johnson and Johnson flew yesterday with all the rest of the market kind of struggling. And again, look at its pre-market movement. Like, it's not like it flew like after hours. It popped up, and then it dropped significantly after hours, pushed back up, and then it opened just sprinted. So stocks can move very weirdly after earnings, right? Just whatever you think is going to happen is not always guaranteed to happen, because Johnson & Johnson was all over the freaking place and still finished up on a rocket yesterday. So Johnson & Johnson, United Healthcare. Healthcare is tough because there's so much news involved. Like, I don't like going to sleep and then waking up and your drug is like contributes to, blindness in 80-year-olds, and suddenly my trade is ruined. I'm not a big fan of that. So that's why I don't really do a lot of healthcare trades, but healthcare is one that's pushing. It's just kind of when you soak up all the gains in the risky growth sector, then, and especially if some of what they said might be a little overblown when you talk about earnings, because last earnings season, everybody was, Nvidia, AI is going to make our revenue 100 trillion, and this is going to do this, right? And then this next earnings is like, okay, where's that at, right? What are we doing with that? So maybe some, hedge funds are like, oh, let's rotate into some stuff that's been lagging. But now that the economy is doing great, and we're really kind of out of the bear's den, we can take a flyer on these guys, right? The catch up. So it's worth a look, right? Just looking around in different sectors and see what's going on. I like, for my people who don't know all of them by heart, just looking up like a list of ETFs, right? Just look up like lists of ETFs by sector, and then just go through, type in, XLE for industrial. How is that sector doing? Does it look good on the weekly? XLE for energy, right? XLI for industrial. Their XLK is tech, I believe. So yeah, there's a ton of different ETFs that you can check out, and just doing technical analysis on those will give you some good insight into like, okay, hey, this is a sector that's moving. This is a sector that's now strong. When you check out XLK here, they're actually testing a previous weekly high. And if we close like we are closing, the tech sector will put in a shooting star on the weekly at previous weekly resistance. So that's not exactly what you want to see here. Let me activate. I want to make sure my settings are right too. It seems like my chart isn't snapping like it used to snap. Okay. Yep, I just want to make sure 177.04. Okay, cool. Yeah, because right now we are testing, a previous weekly high on XLK, which is the tech sector ETF. And as of right now, we are putting in a shooting star and rejecting. So we'll see. We got to close over 177 on that. Otherwise we could be seeing some move down on tech. Of course, that's completely subjective to what we get next week, because we get earnings that blow it out of the water, and suddenly we're not worried about anything else, right? So in terms of economic news here, no more limits. 2 months after the U.S. neared its first ever debt default, President Biden has created a team to assess ways to avert future standoffs over the country's debt ceiling. The working group, consisting of administration officials and no Republican members, will be led by the White House counsel Stuart Dellery and National Economic Council Director Lael Brainerd. Recall that at the start of June, Biden signed a bill that suspended the government's statutory debt limit through January 1st, 2025. A deadline for the working group to finish its work has not yet been set, and there's no date for its first gathering. So why? Like, why are we reporting this? I don't know. Maybe a slow news day. Like, legitimately, who cares, to be honest? In terms of commodities here, rice ban. Traders are already watching wheat costs following Russia's exit from the Black Sea grain deal, but now rice prices are in focus. India has banned exports of non-basmati white rice effective immediately to ensure adequate availability in the country and rein in soaring domestic prices. We're starting to see that, right? The resurgence of, we haven't mentioned the big seven in a while, right? Really, the big seven turned into the big eight, I think, with the bank failures, but one of the big, the big seven that were governing how the market was moving is the rise of protectionism, right? The death of globalization and the rise of protectionism, which are kind of one and the same, where you're seeing all these different countries like, hey, I'm not going to export what I used to export because we need it ourselves. And that affects prices globally. It's why every country now is moving production of a lot of the stuff within the country because they can't rely on other countries to send it to them, right? India, a lot of African countries. You have a number of big countries that are like, hey, sorry, we're not sending this out anymore, which drastically affects the prices of those goods. Now, India's export ban is expected to push food inflation even higher as it accounts for more than 40% of global rice exports. While the ban may ease domestic prices, international rates are expected to scale higher as the onset of the El Nino weather pattern threatens to tighten supplies. Rice futures are nearing $16 per hundredweight count in July, the highest level since the end of May. I have no idea. Like, let's see here. What stocks rise when rice prices increase? I have absolutely no idea what that is, but that's what's like fun about the market. Is it fun that the price of food is going to go up? No. Is it really freaking fun to play detective and figure out how you can make money off of that in order to offset the increased prices that you're paying? Yes, right. That's quite literally one of the coolest things that exists now is the ability to go in and say, oh, I'm going to have to pay more for this. I'm just going to figure out how I don't have to pay more for this, right? And that's the coolest part of being an adult, just finagling and making it work and making it happen, in all the different ways that we can make it happen. And there are so many different ways, in 2023. I'm not seeing anything jumping out of me, so I'll probably maybe take a second to research this on my own. I don't like trade futures or anything like that, so they probably have rice futures or something of that nature, but not anything I'm aware of. I always look for how to play it in the stock market for sure. Y'all know me, you know how I roll. Let's see here, and typically I can find some type of proxy stock to play it through. So today's markets in Asia, Japan were down 0.5%, Hong Kong up 0.8%, China down 0.1%, India down 1.3%. In Europe, the FTSE in London up 0.1%, Paris up 0.3%, Frankfurt down 0.4% actually. The Dow up 0.1%, S&P up 0.3%, NASDAQ up 0.5%, crude oil up 1.3%, gold down 0.3%, Bitcoin down 1.8%, down beneath 30,000, so $29,808. What else is happening? It looks like SPY is actually probably higher than that now. Yeah, SPY definitely higher than only up 0.3%. So those lotto calls that we took before close yesterday, since we had SPY closing on top of that 451.93 support, right? We had SPY closing on top of that, and QQQ reaching the hourly bear flag price target number 2, right? The recipe was there for a bounce. Those calls that we got expire today. So the fact that we were up this much at open means those calls are going to pay. It's OPEX Friday, not just pay a little bit, right? They're going to pay probably pretty substantially, right? So don't look a gift horse in the mouth. Make sure you lock down most or all of those if you took the chance and swung some. It's a nice little gift on OPEX Friday. Today is options expiration day, right? You have a number of different financial instruments that expire today. We can get crazy movement. We can get wonky movement, right? So just make sure you know that. Don't look a gift horse in the mouth. Those calls that you may have gotten for $25 or $50, they're $250, $300, $400. Freaking take those things at open, right? And go enjoy your Friday, right? If you're that type, go crack a mimosa, right? And go about your day and have a nice time. But don't sit here and then, try and go back and say, oh, I turned $25 into $300. Now I'm going to turn that 300 into 900. Nope. Take those $300, right? That's groceries for more than a week and enjoy your life, right? In terms of SPY and looking here pre-market, you want to strip down, of course, to a bear chart, especially after you have something like a sell-off. You want to strip down to just a naked chart and evaluate it from the ground up. And if you put on the hourly downtrend here for SPY, pre-market, we are breaking that hourly downtrend. So it's around that 454 area, 453.90 area is where it's currently at. So if we remain over that, SPY is likely to go up. So SPY calls can pay huge today if we hold over that hourly downtrend break, right, and can continue to push. It is OPEX Friday, so we could get a holdover and then we freaking tank back beneath it, right? So still play it light. Like you can still get weird movement because you have a lot of different things that are happening today, right? Hedge funds reallocating, moving stuff around, all that stuff, right? You have a lot of crap, which boils down to weird movement. So don't say, okay, I'm going to go put half of my account in SPY 0-day call autos. Maybe you get one, right? Maybe you get two. Don't get anything that you aren't fine losing, right? And just don't put yourself through the ringer on OPEX Friday. But in terms of what we're looking at, like nearing open, SPY is looking good here, breaking this hourly downtrend. And those lotto calls, the 0 dates that we swung overnight, should be quite tasty here at open. Just to cap off literally what has been an absolutely unreal week. We've got Microsoft, Google, Tesla on the long swings that came through. We've gotten SPY, right, on a number of different call swings that came through for us. Meta that's come through on the swing. You know, like you can't be mad at it. It's just a superb week. So I don't even know if I'll do anything after the SPY calls. I just swung a few just as, just for whatever. But we'll see, right? We'll see how the market shapes up today. But I'm not going to sit here and, kind of sweat over OPEX Friday because I've done it before. That's why I say it, right? I've done it before. So still make sure to check in. Don't just be lazy and say, oh, Adam's not going to trade, because I might find a banger, right? And then you miss it and then you're like, oh, man, so it takes no time to check, but I'm not going to sit here sweating over it. Taiwan Semiconductor, ticker TSM, outlook sends shivers across the chip sector. So that might be something worth looking into. Yesterday, Elon Musk was talking about he's willing to buy as many of NVIDIA chips as he can get his hands on. So either he has NVIDIA calls or he's just telling the truth, right? So NVIDIA is just, again, these chip companies are the ones that are building the future. So maybe Taiwan Semiconductor is scared, right? Unless that they're like, I could see there being an issue with the stuff that they're mining, right? If there's an issue with like the raw materials that go into the chips, yes, I could see the chip sector being scared. But other than that, they make me want to go and become a chip manufacturer, right? Because there's just so much freaking money involved in it. Apple, ticker AAPL, faces issues with larger screens for higher end iPhones. I saw that with the new iPhone and the bigger screen. They just are struggling producing it. ExxonMobil, ticker XOM, plans one of the world's largest lithium processing facilities. Ooh, interesting. I like that for them. I really like that for them. ExxonMobil, that is smart. That is really freaking smart. Getting into the battery, into the battery business. We talked about lithium. What was it? 3 challenges ago, right? Last year, we talked about lithium and the importance of lithium. If ExxonMobil can diversify its business in that arena, I'm liking it, right? I'm liking it a lot because we're going to need lithium because everything is going to be battery powered, right? And lithium is what goes into batteries. So it's lit, right? To crack a dad joke. LIT is like the abbreviation of lithium, also the lithium ETF. Anyways, forget me, y'all. Tornado ravaged plants, financial impact on Pfizer likely minimal. So I guess Pfizer had some plants that were torn up by a tornado. Heavily shorted Sirius XM, ticker SIRI. Siri jumps 27% and triggers volatility halts. I saw that. I wasn't involved with it. I don't trade meme stocks. Abbott, ticker ABT, results top consensus as business offsets COVID hit. Abbott was another one. So Abbott and Johnson & Johnson, really their earnings is what had healthcare crushing it yesterday. Johnson & Johnson post Q2 beat. Kenvue, ticker KVUE, exchange offer could come soon. Cathie Wood's ETFs see net outflow. Cathie Wood's ETFs see net outflows in 2023 despite stellar performances. Altria unexpectedly hiked cigarette prices for the 3rd time this year. Dang. Addiction is expensive. I'm glad I never hopped on the Juul train because when those became a thing, so many people got freaking addicted to nicotine for no reason. And it's just a waste of money. I don't like wasting money on things. American Express, ticker AXP, results on tap. Are consumers still revenged traveling? I guess that's traveling because they couldn't travel beforehand. Anyways, guys, that'll wrap us up, put a bow on it, and take us out for the last pre-market prep session of this week. We've been racing through the market this week, and I say we've done about as good of a job as that car back there, right? Really dodging a lot of issues, dodging a lot of obstacles, and making it happen. And that's what it's about. At the end of the day, sometimes it isn't always 3xing your account in a day. It's dodging the landmines that becomes very important. During, earnings season, you'll have a lot of landmines that are there. So you just got to remain aware, remain vigilant, and make sure you're tuning in here, right? So that you can get that lowdown each and every day before the market opens. So everybody have a great rest of your day, right? Make sure you have a safe weekend. I'll see you back here on Monday for our next pre-market prep session. Have a good one.